Alright, well hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm glad that you guys are here and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the show so far, I think. The series of just reacting and analyzing everything. I do have to step in and I do have to say something before we start this episode, and it is please don't leave any spoilers. For those of you that don't know, I am blind reacting to this channel. I am literally going episode by episode with everyone on Discord, and when you spoil something and one of the mods isn't able to go ahead and cover it for me, like, next thing you know, if I'm online and I watch it, it ruins the experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know what I was spoiled on. The comment has been deleted, so on and so forth. But essentially, someone stated that, like, Beoko does indeed have the gospel being completely empty, which spoils a lot. Like, when I say something, I say it as a joke. And if it is spoiler territory, you have to remember, I do throw 1,001 theories out there. Don't confirm it. Don't, like, pick it out and then like try and make something out of it. You can make a joke out of the situation, jokes out of anything, but when you spoil a situation, you spoil sort of like the character development that reaches that point, and for me it throws me off guard a little bit, you know? So please, again, don't spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen the channel or is watching it with me or watching the videos with me step by step. But aside from that, why don't we just go ahead and get into it? I think overall, you guys know I'm watching this through a psychological lens. For those of you that are new, hi, welcome aboard. I hope you guys like it. And let's just get started. I think that's the best way to put it. I love how snippy she is. Yeah, but that's weird. Roswaal, I mean, I guess. So she clearly saw all of that happening, yeah? Okay, so there are two situations happening, right? Which situation would you take care of first? What's happening at the sanctuary right now? Would you like try and help Amelia to try and overcome the trials? Or would you try and go back and get everyone out? That's clearly the two situations at hand. So, yeah, I'll leave that up to you guys. What would you do? I know personally, like, this depends a lot on your, like, sort of moralistic view and who you're relating to a little bit more and what you think you have more of a chance against. Where in terms of the mansion, you might have more of like the visibility of actually doing something that might impact the overall goal as to what's happening. While I guess being here in the sanctuary, the only thing you can do on is like put your trust into Amelia, unless you take the trial for them, in which case you might be overstepping boundaries. So yeah, what would you guys do? I don't know, that's tough. I haven't seen the, like, opening just yet, and I just saw that little ending piece, and what? What? Oh, the opening just overloaded my brain, and I'm not sure if that was more than enough that I saw in the beginning that, like, formed a whole new theory. But that's wild. Anyway. Right. Yeah, because that's where we... Correct. Oh, come on. Any helping hand from yous. Disregard. Okay. Right. Right. Of course anyone would suspect that. Right? Yeah, you know way more than you're letting on. Clearly. As always, you have like a shady underhand, a shady something going on. Isn't that always great, right? Like, you go to your enemy is willing to help you out this much. Like, you know that Roswaal's a snake. And, yeah, that's... Like, you have strong suspicions. You've seen the way that he acts and all of this, and yet you still go for clarification. The question. That person. Why? Ooh. There was so much said and so much in the instability of it that I think if I don't pause it now and like wrap my head around it, I won't be able to like fully dissect it. Just because of the way that like Roswaal does a sudden tonality shifts and the way that like certain words are emphasized and you know, I guess the meaning of the words, especially if it's translated, right? Which let's be honest, in season ones there were some things that were not translated correctly. But anyway, an issue with the contract that she can't override. What is a contract, right? To whom is the contract made for, right? Because I thought, like, I know people abide by the rules set or like the contracts and promises set. So who, first off, who, what, where, when, why, right? Who created that contract? Why did they do it? So on and so forth. Number two, he talked about like the tome of wisdom, right? And even if it's a gospel, it looks like the gospel, right? You might be a witch cultist and you might call it like, you know, the silly little book of like, if you're like, oh, you have a psychology book. And I'd be like, no, this is actually called like, you know, meditation guidance or something. It's still one of my psych books. It's just a little bit more specific. But nonetheless, it's still part of the same, I guess, umbrella, right? So my question overall is essentially, who has the other piece? And if so, why is he calling hers defective? How much has he studied the other people around in his environment to know what they want, dislike, what will trigger certain scenarios and events to happen? This man is like, as I said, this is like a 5-day like big brain. He's that big brain person there, and it's crazy to see. I think like seeing the way that he's trying to manipulate certain situations to happen. Even if it's Subaru trying to get an ally, even if it's pushing a certain narrative, in a weird way, it always, I don't know. Is he trying to get Subaru to think like him, to react like him, to make choices like him? It's a weird thing I'm throwing out there, right? But the way that like when you have someone that's like you know, it's either a sociopath or a psychopath or tends to have very high narcissistic tendencies or tends to be very well thought out, methodical in certain situations like that. When they get attached to someone, right, or when they get attached to a group of friends, especially if they're, how would I put it? Very manipulative. There we go. That's the correct word I'm looking for. A very manipulative individual will go in and they'll start slowly but surely manipulating their environment, everything that's around them, sort of like the narrative around them, right? Including the people that they're with. Sometimes, especially, for example, I can't go into full details, but there are some people that like are very manipulative and like, you know, that I've worked with in the past that have established, for example, groups of friends that at first were very diverse, and then they coiled them in a way in which they shared their story, or like they influenced all of their stories to make them sort of like a background yet pivotal individual in the group of people that would normally not mix. And you're like, well, that sounds like normal friendship. Yes and no, right? Because in a normal friendship, you know, you can have a communication, you can disagree, there's disagreements, there's back and forths, there's everything, and that's totally fine, right? But in the situation that I'm talking about, he would pick one or two individuals and try to sort of test his ideologies on them. Like, if there was something that made them, like, for example, if they had a bad breakup, or if they went through a bad breakup, right? And one of their friends was in a relationship, what they would end up doing is they would target their friends and influence them in a way so that they can have that breakup as well, or try and get near like a really, really big argument that, you know, was catastrophic in most cases, and see how they'd react. Would they be the same? Would they not? And if it didn't go according to plan, they would isolate. And that's what extremely manipulative people can do in a friendship setting, right? They can control their environment, they can control their appearance, they can be the one that people go to, or they can be the one that's in the background, but everyone still feels it's the glue of the group. And it's sort of controlling the narrative that's being told in the way that certain situations and events will happen. And you might be like, you know what? Like, there's no way that a person can think that far ahead and a person can go ahead and, like, influence situations to that point. But you'd be, I'd say, surprised, right? As to, like, we all have different worries in life. We all have different things. For example, I have a job. I love doing YouTube. I also tend to do 1,000 other things, like teach MMA, love cooking, so on and so forth. So not one of my priorities, right? But yet there are other people who their image or the way that they're trying to portray themselves is so important that they, I don't know, they foster it in such a way that if you weren't there with them, like if you're there in the creation process, they'll try and twist the story so that they've always been like that, or they'll twist it into like this toxic self-help narrative that like, which granted, if you do go through a major change, good on you, you know, but like twisting the narrative is very different from, I guess, like actually bettering yourself, if that makes sense. Anyway, sorry I went on a rant. I'll go ahead and continue. I just had a feeling like Roswaal very much reminds me of when I first started working with this individual a long time ago, and sort of like the way that they try and influence certain events and the way that they try and, like, I don't know, like they pick people from their group and try and like merge their image and do certain things like that. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm probably just talking like bloop for a lot of people, but that's fine, guys. All the problems. Hey, what the fuck do you know, dude? Oh, 100%. You know this. 100%. What is this? True. Oh. Oh. Oh, snap. Okay, well, clearly stuff is not going according to, like, the previous loops. Yeah, I don't think that's a sign that he's agreeing. Yeah. Why would you ask that? Why would you ask that? Oh. Just straight up. Oh, come on. So what... Like always, ReZero tends to like piece this out in such a masterful way. You know, that like, I think most normal interactions, like, if you made it this far, if you were in Subaru's shoes and you made it this far, and I know a lot of you are like, I can take death, I can do this, but like, you cry at the thought of like getting caught, or like, if someone were to like forcibly rip out your nails, like you'd be like, nope, I'm done, like end of simulation style, you know. But if you did manage to go ahead and make it all the way to here without giving up, without like, I guess, choosing to go completely violent or choosing a different route than where he's at, right? My whole question is like, how or what would you do to try and get to know Garfield, right? Because one thing is like, all right, you're facing an enemy that clearly is not following the routines that were usually set, which usually some of the previous loops tend to follow like certain key events. This time it's like, oh, you're supposed to happen here, but you're not there. You're doing this, doing that. And granted, it's all influenced by Subaru's actions, if I may even say that. But nonetheless, stuff is not going exactly according to plan. So what would you do to try and get his backstory without like letting him know that you're getting his backstory? that's just my question to you as a psychologist. I kind of want to get to know you guys a little bit by throwing that out there, and I kind of want to see what you would do, what steps you would take to go ahead and do that. Anyway. And the reason I ask is because a person's backstory can determine a lot strategically, especially if you're being faced in a situation like this. Marusu is what? Oh. Oh, snap. Well, yeah. Oh, dang. Oh, it's all the villagers. It's the trust that he's built with them. Ah. Dang. Yeah, you best book it. I don't know. Ooh. Oh, snap. Damn. Talk about damage there. What? It's Tony the Tiger, kids. Is that Garfield? Oh my god, it is. He was an orange cat. Aww. Aww. First off, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah, if you're actually facing with someone that can transform like that. Yeah, that's terrifying though. Like, what is there to do? Oh no, I don't. Why? You had a good friend there. I guess that would be a good time to shamak and see like the effect on him. Oh no, the villagers. Oh, oh! Even Patrash is trying to take him away. Oh, oh, oh! That was just. Patrash is hurt. Oh no. What the fuck? Quite literally. Oh no. Yeah, what happened? Oh, it's no. Did he just like go back in time or something? Or did like Emilia's powers like just like suddenly like multiply and she's like, hey, I'm gonna freeze everything? Oh, how many days have passed? That would suck if this was like the respawn point. It's like everyone just died. I mean, cool in a way, but that would suck. Wow. Or maybe everyone got out and they just forgot about him if it was like a future jump. Yeah. Which is sad for you, man. Alright, well try and find some like life or something. Try and get out. Oh, it's just snowing overall. Oh, a bunny. There you go. There's some life. That's adorable. Rabbit, my bad. Aw. That's adorable. Oh, fuck me, mate. I was expecting that. Oh, no. What the... Oh, no. What the fuck is this shit? Oh, shit. You got to... No. Take that back. These aren't cute bunnies. Rabbits. What the fuck am I watching again? I'm kind of just... I know you guys can't really see it, but like, my hands got all clammy and I'm all sweaty and That was rough. Where did these bunnies? It just throws a lot of my theories out the door. That's wonderful. Wild. Yeah. But that's if he remembers, right? Ooh. Oh. I'm not sure that's the correct approach for this situation. I'm sure that she's like, but aw. Eh? Aw. Yeah, she knows way too much. Fitting for the Witch of Greed, right? Oh, you put that together nicely. Wait, then that clearly means that time doesn't flow the same for the witch or the witches, right? Because I'm guessing, like, if Satala is there or imprisoned or whatever, time is flowing differently for anyone of a higher power at this point, right? What does that mean? Does that mean that, like, quite literally everything's been planned from the beginning? Or, like, even the unplanned elements sort of take you back? Because, like, Echidna is sealed here, right? Like, this is, like, sort of the trials and whatnot, to try and free the sanctuary, right? And try and release her, whatever. I don't know. I'm only making an assumption here. But if she was able to witness everything, if she didn't question it, right? If she would have questioned him coming into this world and been like, what are you doing here? But, like, you earned the qualification again, and then it's like, why are you back so quickly? It's just making it seem as though, like, time, like, I don't know. It's I have to put my thoughts together, but it's not like time is just like running from A to B. It's just so, like, they're able to see all the different timelines intersect, right? And, like, view everything that's happening, and it's like, okay, like, I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Huh? He finally said it. And nothing happened. Why is she so weird? In a good way, though. Imagine the relief and confusion that is coming from Subaru. Oh. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to carry. Oh. Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna see if there's anything else near the end before I give my. Okay, there's not. Give me a second. Wow. Wow. Okay. Uh, it just took a second to put all that through. Let me just quickly start by saying this. We've all seen how she's a bad therapist in the first trial, right? And you guys might be like, oh, that wasn't the intention. The intention was to try and get people to clear the trial, right? Yeah, but if you design a trial in which people have to go through certain events, you're designing them with like certain prerequisites, right? And even if that's forcing people to go through a traumatic event, especially with something like that, that's very conniving. That's very not conniving, but like a little manipulative, I would say, in terms of emotional manipulation, because forcing someone to go through a traumatic event, right, without them being prepared, or like reliving a traumatic event without them being prepared, even in therapy, that can often lead to a lot of disaster. It can lead to people just instantly quitting. Like, if you're a therapist, if you are going to therapy and like decide to go into an event that you're not prepared for, set your boundaries. Be a self advocate. Set your boundaries. Don't let people push you there. This last little bit, I love Echidna as a character, right? I think she's very intellectually designed. Where that very ending, it felt very empathetic, but if I was a psychologist watching this happen, right, knowing sort of what's been going on with each one, at this point I would question if that's real empathy or if that's, as I mentioned, it's sort of like an animal that's been like cornered. They're gonna fight, like flight, fight, or freeze, right? Sometimes they might fawn, which is normal. But what do you do in situations like that? If your back is up against a wall, right, and clearly she was trying to go ahead and get him to take the trial, you're going to try and be at least empathetic in some shape, way, or form, right? And it's sort of like, in a way, and this is going to be really fucked up, and I hope, like, I hope I make a little bit of sense, or not at all any sense, or whatever. She kind of reminds me of Roswaal a little bit, or Roswell's to the extreme, like extremity, where like everything, like in the tonality and the way that he's phrasing things, it's very like upfront. Hers feels a little like more restrained. Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, she's very upfront. Like, I want your knowledge. I want this. I want that. But it's not like boom. Like, I think anybody would have taken this moment. Like, I felt it. I was like, oh, that's very empathetic. And then I remembered who she was, and I was like, was that empathetic or was that like an act? You know? So that's sort of where I'm at. I'm not sure if it's an act or whatever. But if you were in my chair, if you were like, I guess this is another question for all of you. When you guys first watched that ending scene, did you guys feel it was empathetic or did you guys feel it was sympathetic? Right? Sympathy can usually be done with something like something being expected. Empathy is when an individual actually connects with you and like, shares your pain and helps you out, or whatever, right? Sympathy is sort of like talking down to with an expectation. Empathy is connecting at your level. So what do you guys felt like this was? Do you think that she's wants something out of it? Do you feel like this is sympathetic or empathetic? On your first watch through, please don't spoil anything. That's sort of where I'm going through with that. Anyway, Echidna aside, let's talk about the mental maturity that someone has to go through as they go, like, face through all of these different scenarios, right? First off, watching your friends die over and over and over again. Of course, it's going to lead to a psyche break, but all of a sudden, being put into this realm where you're back at baseline. Very well done, Roswaal. I think that's one of the few moments where I'm like, heck yeah, you put that together way faster than like I think I expected you to. Where he was like, wait, how do you know what happened? Like, for you, this is just like a second in time. It should have been just like a second in time since the last time. So what's going on? So that's interesting. The rabbit freaked me out. No wonder now I get some of the rabbit jokes and like bunny jokes that y'all were like doing, like, oh, what a cute bunny, what a cute rabbit in the Discord. But that was actually terrifying. Like, that was one of the few moments where I was like, I question why I watched this series, but then I remember how good it is. So, dang. But no, honestly, thank you guys a lot for watching, for everyone that's here. I for those of you that like don't know, I'm gonna go into a little bit of personal stuff. I'm going through a little bit of a rough time. Like, trying to keep up with like my job, trying to keep up with everything, juggling 1,001 responsibilities all at once. And honestly, making YouTube videos have been an absolute joy. I hope you guys enjoy it just as much. Thanks to everyone on Discord that like checks in and like, is active in the chat, which is absolutely great. It's great to see everyone come together and theorize and, make dumb jokes and then all of a sudden like hide when I make like some really, really weird predictions and stuff. Y'all are funny. Y'all are great. And in the YouTube comments as well. I know that there are a couple people that like try to repeatedly put spoilers in the comments. Luckily, I do have a mod team that gets rid of most of them. If you guys do happen to see a spoiler, feel free to just put a spoiler, comment spoiler, and like the mod team will go ahead and delete them before I'm able to go and read the comments. Aside from that, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. Practice some self-care. Know that I love you guys. And if anyone hasn't said it today, I'm proud of you. Even if it's just getting up and watching this video. Hey, it's a pandemic. We're all living through this time together. And, we all got to do some form of self-care, even if it's watching YouTube videos. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope this entertained y'all. And hit a like button, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And it helps just me know that there are people that actually enjoy this content, especially for future videos and games and what's to come. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great night. Bye-bye.